Opening up my library of indie games, and this week we're looking at And Yet It Moves. I bought this title during a major Steam holiday sale, like most of the games I have, and rushed through it in a matter of a few hours. I'm quite the supporter of many titles, both blockbuster and indie, but not all indie titles end up thrilling me. And Yet It Moves falls into a strange category of could be amazing, but happens to fall short. In And Yet It Moves, you'll rotate the world, or the character, however you happen to look at it, and that assists you in relocating to higher places and moving objects throughout the environment. You can still move side to side and jump over smaller objects, but rotating the world is the key to success. Unfortunately, if you fall from too high, you'll break into a bunch of little papery pieces. Getting from point A to point B is the main goal, with various checkpoints along the way. There's not much of a story to the game, so in a way, it's good that developer Broken Rules kept this game short, but in general, this title just feels like it's getting started and then abruptly ends. Broken Rules could have expanded upon the many concepts they introduced progressively in And Yet It Moves, instead of just briefly touching upon all of their good ideas. They could have worked on integrating multiple features into one level, or just made the overall experience more difficult with the concepts available. And Yet It Moves does have something going for it in the form of the art style. Although when zoomed in the assets tend to lose a bit of quality, the overall design is successful. I like the look of ripped paper, and moving into the later levels, the use of color and patterns allows some designs to look more like a fascinating kaleidoscope. The only question or loophole that arises is why everything doesn't catch fire during levels in which you deal with fire. I mean, it's all made of paper, right? I just want more of this game. I completed And Yet It Moves in about 2 hours, and from what I can tell, this title really doesn't have much replay value. After completing a level, it does open up a timed run version of the level, but that doesn't offer much in the form of new gameplay or something new to look forward to. I don't think I've ever felt the need to parade around my And Yet It Moves skills, and I can't predict the future, but I'm guessing things will still remain the same years down the road. I'm assuming the version released to the Wii's Virtual Console is quite different, considering how the description of the game on Nintendo's website boasts a more rounded gaming experience. Either that or they're lying to push the content. It's completely possible. During my PC playthroughs, I didn't notice any new bonus levels or additional content that could be considered, quote, surprising modifications that change the entire game, end quote. And Yet It Moves is expensive at $10. I understand developers have to make their money somewhere, but this game is just too little. It's small compared to other $10 titles on Steam like Terraria, Magicka, Runespell Overture, or even old favorites like Portal, Knights of the Old Republic, Half-Life 2, and over 1,000 more. The thing with indie development is developers are fighting to be noticed. They're taking chances and putting themselves out there with all the bells and whistles they can muster, or lack thereof in the case of games like Limbo. Direct competition for And Yet It Moves is probably VVV, which I think brings more character, a more visually interesting art style, and much better music, all for $5 less. If you're in the mood for a gravity-shifting title, I'd pick up VVV instead of And Yet It Moves, but if the price drops a little more, you should take notice. And Yet It Moves starts off with the right idea, but the overall gameplay feels rushed. I wanted to spend more time in this world, or at least know a little more about it prior to the credits rolling. Before you know it, you've beaten the game and all you have left are replays of past levels. So practice a little patience and wait around for a good sale, because And Yet It Moves is a decent $5 game.